Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys for Thursday, February 15th. Hope you survived Valentine's Day well enough. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined as always by Andrew McGinnis and Dana Lane. Alex B. Smith, hopefully momentarily as well. But a Thursday card to break down, a busy one, as you would expect, as usual on a Thursday, 3 days a week when we do this show. We've got big cards, and this is no different today. So let's begin. Top of the card, we're going to start with a East versus West matchup. Interesting one. LA Kings, Pittsburgh Penguins, 1-2 on the rotation. Pittsburgh laying a hefty price, minus 185, pretty much consensus price across the board here. 5.5 the total, shaded to the over at minus 115. And Pittsburgh Penguins have sort of rounded into that championship form the last few weeks. Actually, more than that. They've played pretty good hockey pretty much for the last month. Been able to play really solid, get their offense going, get Matt Murray back in net. And it's really made all the difference in the world for this Pittsburgh team, starting to resemble those two-time Stanley Cup champions with the way they've played the last few weeks. Again, the first half of the season, it's a team that was really, I guess going through the motions at times, not really clicking. They had to deal with some injuries, but this Penguins team is putting it together right now and looking to continue it tonight. They're coming off just a obliteration, really, of Ottawa, which could not defend me, Alex, Dana, or Andrew. Let alone the Pittsburgh Penguins the other night. I mean, that Ottawa team is just horrendous right now in their own zone. Too many shots, too many good quality chances they give up on a nightly basis, and Pittsburgh able to take advantage against them. The other night. LA now, on the other hand, comes to the East here, taking on this Pittsburgh team at PPG Paints Arena. Big news for them is obviously the trade they made with the Ottawa Senators, the aforementioned Ottawa Senators the other day, sending Dion Phaneuf to the LA Kings. LA sending Marian Gaborik the other way. Really, it's money for money. It's contract for contract. It's not a player for player trade. Nobody cares about Dion Phaneuf's abilities at this point. They just want to get him off the books. That's what Ottawa was looking for with that trade. They got it done. LA gets Dion Phaneuf, and hey, Dion Phaneuf's not got the foot speed he used to have. He's not going to produce the points I think that he used to, but he's a veteran defenseman. He has got the experience. If nothing else, that's going to help this LA Kings team, because outside of Doughty, Muzzin, and Martinez, who are the mainstays on that blue line for the LA Kings, it's a young group back there. When you're talking about Kevin Gravel and Derek Forbort, and some of these guys on this LA blue line. So getting a guy like Phaneuf in there is going to at least give them a little more experience on the blue line. Of course, he'll likely be making his debut for the Kings tonight, but going to be interesting to see how he gels. It's funny because he played Pittsburgh Tuesday night. Now he's joining LA, and LA's traveling to Pittsburgh, so he really didn't have to go far. Dion Phaneuf to join his new team here. But interesting to see how this one goes. I'm not going to be involved here, but Pittsburgh, yeah, I'm not going against them. They're playing good hockey, but obviously it's very well reflected in the price. It looks like the Pittsburgh tax is back in effect now that they're playing really good. You're laying pretty significant expensive prices with them, the Penguins, particularly when they play on home ice these days. Next up, we've got Carolina, New Jersey, 3-4 on the rotation. Carolina minus 115. Slight favorite on the road here in this hockey game in Newark. Total 5.5 across the board. And look, for the Carolina Hurricanes, they took care of business, a decisive win, an offensive explosion, certainly by the Carolina Hurricane standards. Last time out against the LA Kings, a 7-3 whipping over LA in that hockey game. Carolina, to me, is a team that's really flying way under the radar, not getting a whole lot of mentions, not getting a whole lot of discussion from talking heads on TV. If you watch your TSNs and your sports nets in Canada that talk hockey nonstop, nobody even gives this team a time of day. But here they are in a wild card position right now in the Eastern Conference, playing solid enough hockey. Sebastian Aho is one of the better offensive players this season that gets no love, gets no mention whatsoever. He's been terrific for the Carolina Hurricanes. They've got Skinner, Jeff Skinner, for this team, who's had a very solid season as well. Certain guys have underperformed a little bit, but really for the Carolina Hurricanes, offensively, that was a big-time breakout for them. You look at their last two games as well. They've won 3 straight now. Last two, they put up 76 shots combined in the 2 wins against Colorado and LA. So there's a lot of positives right now. They're getting back to playing some better defensive hockey, which this team's capable of. Is known to be a solid enough defensive team, good puck possession team if you're into that kind of stuff. Carolina certainly had that kind of success this year. It's just all about goaltending, because we know that can come and go with this Carolina team. Scott Darling and Cam Ward, that's not a scintillating tandem in net by any stretch, but All they need is good enough, solid, average goaltending right now, and they'll find ways to win games because I think defensively they do a decent job most nights at least, keeping the quality chances at a minimum. We'll see if they can keep that up and go for their fourth straight win tonight against the New Jersey Devils. I personally have no issue taking Carolina in this game at minus 115. Minus 110 actually at Heritage Sports. I'm going to go with that Carolina side. I like the positive things I'm seeing with this hockey team. Jersey, on the other hand, we'll see if Corey Schneider comes back tonight. We're not sure yet, but we know it's been a absolute hell for this team to keep the puck out of their own net without Schneider in between the pipes. They've had to deal with Keith Kincaid, who's been not ready to take a number one role in extended starts like this, night in, night out. He's really not played well. And of course, Eddie Lack's their other option, and you got to keep him the far away from the net as possible because I don't think he can get it done. So New Jersey's had problems with goals against lately, a lot of it goaltending related. So I think Carolina's got a chance really to take advantage of that New Jersey weakness right now defensively. So I like Carolina to win this game minus 110. I'm leaning over 5.5 as well, though Carolina to me is not a big time over team. You think of them as that kind of team usually, but New Jersey certainly is right now. So I'd still lean over 5.5, but a little stronger for me at least on the Carolina side here, minus 110 to get the job done against New Jersey. I think this is a game with multiple ice guys talking about it today. It is indeed. Alex and Dana both have Carolina jersey on the card. Let's go to Dana first. Carolina. No?
No.
Yeah, you do.
No, okay, so here's the deal. I first of all, I just wanted to talk early. Second of all, I sent you a game that I did a write-up for SBR. So we're doing this live on the air. Actually, I'm doing Washington, Minnesota instead. So, Alex, the floor is yours.
All right, there we go. So if he's doing a write-up on this game, there you go. Good plug at sportsbookreview.com. NHL picks. Go to that part of the website. You'll see Dana's thoughts on this game. There we go on Carolina jersey. So there you go. Good plug. Alex, Carolina jersey. Go ahead. Oh, the sound of silence. We can't hear Alex talk. Uh-oh. Okay.
There goes Alex.
Yeah, there's multiple people that have had some tech issues this morning, so this is going to be one of those days apparently. But we'll see if we can get Alex back on the line. Got to keep this show rolling. But for me, it's Carolina minus 110. Also leaning over 5.5 here in this game. Smaller play on that one, but I like Carolina to get the job done. We got Rangers, Islanders 5-6 on the rotation here. Islanders minus 135 to minus 140 as home favorites in this game. Total 6.5, shaded to the under, minus 115. The New York Islanders remain a sieve defensively. I don't know what else I can say. 4-1 loss the other night, and it could have been a lot worse. They give up 50 shots on goal to Columbus. Giving up 40, 50 shots a night is the MO of this Islanders team right now. Just awful stuff defensively from this hockey club. I'm not laying minus 135, minus 140 with them, but the thought of taking the New York Rangers, not exactly exciting me either. My thoughts about the Rangers. This is a team that I think is probably looking at the long-term future as opposed to making the playoffs. They're right there, believe it or not. They're still right in the mix, can get in the playoffs, but I think management's trying to steer this team toward a rebuild. The players are, going to obviously have a big say in that these next few weeks before the trade deadline, but I think management really wants to tear this thing down here with the New York Rangers and build it back up again. Rick Nash certainly on the trade block. Nashville and Dallas, two teams that are apparently very much rumored to be in on the Rick Nash sweepstakes prior to this trade deadline. So want to watch out for movement with him potentially, and the Rangers looking to get rid of that whopping salary that Rick Nash has on the books. So it's a situation where the Rangers are just not sure if this team is geared in toward trying to make a playoff run, or are they looking at rebuild. So it's a real interesting game. Unfortunately, the ship has sailed here with the Islander overtrain. It's 6.5 now. You're not getting that value anymore. So this is one night where I will not be betting the Islanders over the total. It's just gotten out of range. You're talking 6.5 now, and it's not even a plus price for crying out loud. It's minus 105. Minus 110. So I'm going to be out of this game completely. This is, right, Dana? This is one of his games. He is going to talk about this one right here. Islanders and Rangers. Dana, what do you got?
I will do my best considering I'm on a hot spot, which I don't know how good that is. But hey, listen, all those points are valid. In fact, the Islanders have given up more shots on net than anybody in the National Hockey League, and it's not even close. They've given up almost 2,100 shots this year, and the next closest team is Toronto, and they're not even to 2,000 yet. But I guess we're going to see what this Islander team is made of tonight. It's a good spot for them, and I know Doug Weight came out the other day and basically called his team out. So I guess we'll see what comes of that, because like we've said before, if a coach comes out and calls a team out and they don't respond, then you really don't have anything left. You have to pick your spots on this. And he said that they were flat, and that's obviously something that should resonate through the team. I mean, this is an Islander team that's got the schedule laid out in front of them. I mean, you talk about the Rangers only being out of the playoff spot by a little. I mean, the Islanders are 1 point ahead of them, so they're certainly out just by a little bit. And I think these games, against the Rangers and game with these winnable games have to. I mean, the Islanders have to win these games. I mean, there's no doubt about it, or they're absolutely done. I mean, there is no other team that's got the schedule laid out for them as well as the Islanders does, but or do. But Doug Weight seemed to be after practice, and of course his tirade was minimal tirade was before practice. Seemed to be in better spirits. He called the effort focused. He said the team is, I mean, they're inspired, I guess, was the bottom line to practice yesterday. So, I mean, listen, at this time of year, guys, if you're not inspired to make the playoffs, if you're dropping games that you're not supposed to do, I don't know what words can do. But I do know against the Rangers, the Islanders have had a tremendous amount of success. They've won 5 straight games, including 2-0 this year. They've also beaten the Rangers 4 straight times at Barclay. They're 3 points out of the playoff spot. This is the time for them to get going against the Rangers team. And we talk about how bad the Islanders are. The Rangers lost 13 of 19 games, went off of 1 day's rest, and they've lost 8 out of 11 overall. So there's nothing exciting to jump on with the Rangers side. The only thing I can do is play the Islanders tonight in hopes that win streak against the Rangers continues.
All right, so Dana will go with the New York Islanders and bank on series history to prevail once again, and that has been siding with the Islanders. They've done a good job head-to-head against the New York Rangers. We'll see what they've got, because you're right, they were just completely, thoroughly thrashed and dominated, and 4-1 was a kind score the other night when they played the Columbus Blue Jackets, but that's okay. I had Columbus. I was happy. So Rangers and Islanders, what are we going to go with? Minus 135 here, or minus 133 even at bookmaker/Chris. So an even better price there with the New York Islanders for Dana in that game. Next up, we got Buffalo, Ottawa, 7-8 on the rotation. Ottawa minus 135, the total 5.5, under minus 130 in this hockey game. And let's give the Sabres credit. Sabres finally showing signs of life, starting to win some games, starting to be competitive. I know they took advantage of Tampa Bay, second night of back-to-back games on the road after a tough, exhausting, intense back and forth game against Toronto the night before, but give the Sabres credit. Good game from them. They had Tad Johnson in net. They didn't even have Leonard that night. Not that it matters. There's very little difference this year between Leonard and Johnson. They're both, up and down, very erratic. But Johnson was in net. Buffalo finds a way to get the job done. A 4-3 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning. I jumped on that game over the total as soon as I saw that it was going to be Domingue in net for the Tampa Bay Lightning instead of Vasilevsky. That's all you needed to know. And now it's something like 9-2 to the over for Tampa this year, when a non-Andre Vasilevsky has been in net for the Lightning. So that tells you all you need to know. There's as big a drop-off as possible from first goalie to second goalie. There may not be a bigger drop-off than with Tampa Bay when you go from Vasilevsky to Louis Domingue. And we certainly saw that the other night, losing 4-3 to Buffalo with Louis Domingue in net. So, but the Sabres offensively, Ryan O'Reilly coming to life. Some other guys, some depth forwards starting to score and pull the weight of Jack Eichel being out. Jack Eichel obviously out for an extended period of time, but oddly enough, even without him, Sabres offensively have been able to score some goals the last few games, which is impressive to see. They had, put up 4 against Colorado, albeit in a losing effort, and then the 4-3 win the other night against Tampa Bay. So good stuff from the Sabres offensively, and hey, all I'm seeing from Buffalo is even without Eichel, I'm seeing a little offense. all it might take from Buffalo is a little offense to dent the back of the net tonight against this Ottawa team because they're ridiculously bad defensively right now. Their penalty kill stinks. No, they run around like chickens with heads cut off in their own zone. They can't clear pucks out of their own zone half the time. It's a big time issue for this Ottawa team. And I know Phaneuf's been traded, and people will rag on Phaneuf. He's not got the skating ability he used to have. Doesn't have that offensive point production ability he used to have, quite like he did in his Toronto and Calgary days. But he's still a veteran presence back there, and now a bad Ottawa defense is even younger now going into this game tonight in their first game with after the Dion Phaneuf trade. I mean, you look at this Ottawa defense, you got Borowiecki's not very good in his own zone. Johnny Oduya's okay. Cece's okay, but you got young guys back there now. You've got Clayson, Thomas Chabot, who's still prone to mistakes. Very good offensively, Thomas Chabot. Great skater, puck mover, but in his own zone, still trying to work out some kinks. So this is a problem spot right now for this Ottawa team. It's their blue line, and with the Sabres scoring 4 in each of their last 2 games, I think they could capitalize. But on the flip side, we see this Ottawa team offensively playing well right now. No question. They're getting good contributions. Matt Duchene, after a tough start in Ottawa, has really come on strong the last week or two. That's good news for this Ottawa team going forward. They've got Derek Brassard back. Mark Stone recently came back from injury. That's obviously big. One of their top offensive weapons right there. So Ottawa against this Buffalo team, which isn't anything to write home about defensively, should be able to do some things. So you know where I'm going. And I get a plus price here on the total? Absolutely. Over 5.5, plus 110. Sign me up all day long. Buffalo, Ottawa, over 5.5 right now in this game. I think Sabres will score. I think Ottawa will score. We'll get a fun game. 2 teams going absolutely nowhere but circling the drain. And we'll see if we get just roll the puck out there, have some fun. The teams aren't going anywhere. Roll the puck out on the ice, have some fun, go up and down the ice, score some goals tonight. I think we're going to seek that kind of style of game. Over 5.5 Sabres cents for me. This is also one of Dana's games on the card tonight. Buffalo, Ottawa. Dana, what do you got here?
Well, normally I don't like this spot, guys, and you know how I feel on the heels of a trade. I just don't like to get involved, but I like to see how the new guys are going to fit in, how the loss of Dion Phaneuf and Nate Thompson's going to affect the team. And you're right about one thing. I mean, this is a complete, a little bit of a money grab, and really they're trying to get as much money as they possibly can to re-sign Erik Karlsson, and that's really all this deal is about, because you're really trading the same players for each other. I mean, you're getting I mean, the one good thing is, Gaborik, for as much longer as he has to play. I mean, 36 right now. He is going to give you a little bit of speed, and of course, Phaneuf's going to give the Kings a little bit of toughness. So I guess from that standpoint, it benefits both of these teams. But the reason I'm getting involved in this is anytime that I see the Buffalo Sabres at a price that falls within my range, I'm certainly going to look at the other side. I never have any, or very rarely, I think once in probably the last month, that I've looked at the Sabre side in this, and you're right, Ian. I mean, you look at the Ottawa Senators. I mean, they certainly, for as bad as they are defensively, they certainly are still. Especially that top line, the second line's playing well as well. They're still, putting the puck in the back of the net, and honestly, if you're still scoring goals, that means you at least have possession enough to take a little bit of the pressure off yourself defensively. But I think with Matt Duchene, who has 8 points in his last 10 games. Mike Hoffman has 8 points in his last 10 games on the first line. That second line is playing fairly well. Mark Stone is a point a game player in his last 10 games as well. I mean, at least you have some stability. And on that power play unit, it's the first and second unit for the Senators. They've been sensational. So, I'm not jumping on the Buffalo bandwagon. I know they've been much better on the power play. But this is never, when you're giving me, $1.30, $1.45 against Buffalo, that to me is always signals an opportunity to make money, because I don't trust, honestly, I don't trust either of these teams, but I certainly think Ottawa is the better of the 2 teams. And sometimes, guys, although I don't like to get involved when teams make deals, sometimes that really sends a message to the rest of the team, like, wow, okay, they're really making some moves here. So, perhaps we're going to get an inspired effort by the Ottawa Senators tonight. But really, this is a bet against the Buffalo Sabres, and I cross my fingers on the other side, because I just don't want anything to do with Buffalo.
All right, nothing to do with Buffalo. You're gonna break your friend Brian Blessing's heart saying that. Ottawa minus
It's
135
okay.
here. Yeah, it's okay. He
Feels,
can live
believe
with
me, it
that. Yeah,
feels good. I hope
it
he's
does.
watching.
Yeah, you can stick the knife in and twist it tomorrow if the Sens get the job done tonight. Exactly. Ottawa
Oh, I'm
minus
doing it.
135. Yeah,
I'll do it in about an
jump at that
hour. Believe
chance.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it won't take me long.
Ottawa minus. Yeah, Ottawa minus 135 for Dana in that game, and I'm on the over 5.5. I think we're going to get goals. I mean, Ottawa's porous defensively, but their offense has done all right. They've got some key cogs back. Brassard, Stone just came back. Bunch of guys in good form offensively, including, as Dana mentioned, Mike Hoffman's been good as of late. I talked about Duchesne. He's turned it up the last couple of weeks. So, absolutely, I think we get back and forth. Two teams got not going anywhere. Just have some fun out on the ice. Go up and down. Score some goals. Have some fun because this is as fun as it's going to get for the Sabres or Senators this season. So over 5.5 plus 110 for me. Dana's on the Ottawa side in this game. We got Detroit and Tampa Bay, 9-10 on the rotation here. Tampa Bay minus 235 to 240. Home chalk in this game. The total is, well, it was 5.5. It's moved up to 6, minus 125 now, shaded to the under. Yeah, I could see that. Tampa Bay's what, 7-0 to the over their last 7 games, 7 straight overs for this Tampa team. That's all of a sudden, scoring goals and giving them up as well. We saw that the other night. Although that was a lot of Louis Domingue causing that against the Buffalo Sabres, a 4-3 loss. Back home off 2 losses now to Toronto and Buffalo. You'd expect a good, solid performance here from Tampa Bay. I'm not laying minus 235, obviously, to figure that out. Even the puck line, not great value by any stretch on Tampa Bay tonight at minus 1.5 goals. You're still not getting all that great of a price, to be honest with you, with that. If anything, I was looking over the total, but not at 6 now. One thing about Detroit is they've played solid enough defensively, particularly their last game, 2-1 win against Anaheim. Jimmy Howard's found a little something in net now. It's been back and forth all year for Jeff Blashill with his goaltending. He's ridden Peter Mrazek for a week or two when he's been in a good zone. Mrazek had a real rough game over the weekend. Now he's back to the Jimmy Howard train, and Howard's delivered with a good performance the other night against the Anaheim Ducks in a victory for the Detroit Red Wings. So he's going to ride Jimmy Howard one more time. That's already a confirmed starting goaltender tonight. Jimmy Howard in net for the Detroit Red Wings in this game tonight. Obviously, Tampa's going to be right back with Vasilevsky after they gave him the night off against Buffalo. So he'll be in there for them. Obviously, I would expect Tampa Bay to have full focus here after 2 straight road losses. But again, it's priced very much expensively and inflated toward the Tampa side. So for me, there's just not really much value to get involved. Washington, Minnesota, 11-12. We've got Minnesota minus 140 in this game. The total's 5.5, shaded a little bit to the over at minus 115. In this hockey game tonight. Washington Capitals, boy, oh boy, tough times for them. Tough times defensively. Barry Trotz has said it again. We just got to do a better job keeping the puck out of their net. It's the same shit he said after the Detroit loss, 5-4 on the weekend at home. Said we got to keep the puck out of our net, and didn't happen against Winnipeg the other night. 3-2 lead, could not protect it. Mark Scheifele and the Jets finally win a game with Scheifele back. Scheifele had a fantastic game against Washington the other night. Great performance from him. Ties the game 3-3 in the last minute of the third period. And then the Jets win it in overtime, and he sets up the overtime winner for Tyler Myers. And the Jets come back to beat this all of a sudden slumping Washington Capitals team, and a team that defensively usually can rely on them. Not so much lately. They've been a very, very much beatable team. You can make some plays against them, can find open areas, quality scoring chances. They're giving up their quality scoring chances allowed number has gone up big time. Winnipeg was pelting that Washington net with shots in the third period. Multitude of quality chances. They were very much deserving, Winnipeg, to tie that game in the final minute as they did. And then they ended up winning in overtime. So Washington's got some defensive issues to correct. Barry Trotz talked about correcting them after the Detroit loss. Didn't happen. He's talking about it again after the Winnipeg loss. Can it happen tonight against this Minnesota team? And we know Minnesota at home, not the easiest team to beat. So, for me, I'm going to just stick with the over trend right now with Washington here. I mean, until I see defensive improvement from this hockey club, I'm inclined to keep riding with it. So over 5.5 is going to be my play in this game for Washington, Minnesota, -110 over 5.5. Again, Washington's been trending over the total, and their power play's still been good. Offensively, Ovechkin and company have really still been able to produce points and goals. Defensively, though, and even Braden Holtby at times has been a little spotty. I got to see improvements until I change my mind. So and until I believe this trend changes. So we'll go with Washington over the total one more time tonight against Minnesota. Let's see who's on this. Alex is on this game. Washington, Minnesota. Of course, it's a wild game. I don't even have to look it up. Alex, if it's a wild game, he's talking about it. Alex, go for it.
Can you guys hear me first off? Is this working fine?
We're good. Yeah. He's good.
Excellent. Good. All right, so yeah, with this Wild team, it's funny, they've gone over the total in 4 of the last 6 games. If you look at the last 2 games, we talked about with Chicago and Minnesota, they allowed 44 shots on net. Dubnyk was absolutely brilliant, and the Hawks' shot quality was beyond awful. Then you look at the game the other night against the New York Rangers. They have a 3-0 lead. They're coasting early. They nearly blow it. They allow 2 late. That game could have easily gone over the total as well. And you talk about this Washington team that's just somehow completely forgotten how to play defense, which has been their key piece for the longest time. Braden Holtby, like I said, Vezina quality goalie, just not showing up. Guys they're just playing kind of, free wagon, kind of fire wagon hockey. And you got this going up against a Wild team needing points. They need to get their offense generated a lot more. The only way I would look at this game would be over. There's no way I'm going to be looking at playing Washington slumping right now, even at a plus price. I said there's no way I'm taking Minnesota. I've already said that the rest of the year I'm not taking Minnesota. Going against Minnesota at home right now, this team, like I said, much better home team than road team. And every time I've tried to jump and get the plus profit against them, it just hasn't worked out. So the only way I'm looking at this game with the Capitals and Wild would be over the total.
Yeah, you're waiting for the other shoe to drop and this Washington team to pick it up in their own zone. Maybe it's tonight, but I got to see it first. And you're right, I'm reluctant to bet on. This is a good price with Washington. I will say that. If you're into value, there's some decent value on Washington, plus 120. If you believe this is where they put their foot down, if you believe this is the spot where they put their foot down and show up big time and finally get off this little slump they've been in, it's a good price, but I've still got to see it before I can pull the trigger. So for me, it's just the over in this game. And Dana is going to talk about this game. This wasn't initially on his list of games, but he said he wants to talk about it, so we'll give him the floor right now. Capitals and Wild. Dana, what do you got?
Well, the people in Minnesota can rejoice because I'm on the verge of putting the Wild into my top 10, and I guess that's what a 9-3-1 run will do for you. So it's congratulations for being in my almost top 10 of my power rankings. But in that streak, guys, the Wild have averaged almost 3.5 goals a game. And they've only given up about 2.5 goals a game, which includes 6 to Dallas and 6 to Pittsburgh. So if you take those games out, they allowed just under 2 goals a game at 1.82 goals per game. So obviously, offensively and defensively, they're on their game. Obviously, you can attribute that to Devin Dubnyk. You can defensively, they're getting fantastic play from Ryan Suter. They're getting, Jared Spurgeon has been fantastic. They're also getting a lot of offense from the blue line as well, which I really like. I mean, if those guys can give you anything, some teams completely could care less about their defensemen scoring or going up in a play. All they're doing is making sure they don't get caught going back down the other end. And Minnesota's done a real good job of taking advantage of that, kind of the way Washington did last year. But I just, for me, they've been completely responsible in their defensive end and reliable in the offensive end as well. So this is the third game on their 5-game road trip right now, or homestand right now, where they're 2-0-1. And Alex could probably tell you, in each one of those games, they had a 3-0 lead. They did blow one of those 3-0 lead, almost blew 2 actually. One of those games was to the Arizona Coyotes that they finally lost in overtime. But look, they're scoring a ton of goals. They're getting on teams early, and normally you don't blow 3-game leads or 3-point leads. 3 goal leads rather. And to me, I mean, you're 10-0-3 in your last 13 games at the XL Energy Center. There's no reason to go against that, against the Capitals team that at this point, if you're just taking their last 10 games and using it as a barometer, I mean, I think Minnesota is the better of the two teams. I just think Minnesota is going to have plenty of chances tonight. I think they're going to get a ton of shots to the net. It just, and I do think this is going to be a higher paced game. So it kind of bodes well for the over, although that's not anything I'm going to be involved in. But I just think that I think Minnesota's the play tonight. I have no problem laying the juice on this number.
All right, Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, it's fade the cold. I mean, that's the way I approach handicapping. It's like in any sport. If the team is cold and not playing well, I'm not going to try to be genius and say this is it and this is the time they get out of it. You know, you got to show me you win a game first, and Washington's got to do that for me here tonight. So yeah, no argument with the Minnesota side. -140 for them at home, and they've been a very good home team, as we all know. Been much better at home than they've been on the road. Calgary, Nashville, 13-14. Nashville -185. Total 5.5, shaded to the over, -115. How about those Nashville Predators? Fantastic stuff from them the other night. 3-0 deficit to the St. Louis Blues, erased, and they come all the way back and win it in overtime 4-3 and win it on a penalty shot goal for Philip Forsberg, something you don't see every day. He won it on a penalty shot, beating St. Louis. Tremendous comeback from Nashville against a very good St. Louis team. Peter Laviolette kicked some garbage cans, threw some stuff at the wall, threw some shit at the wall, obviously, in the second intermission. And obviously the team responded after that because they were a different Nashville team in that third period. They were absolutely spectacular, Nashville, in that come-from-behind victory. So one concern, though, I have with them going into this game, though, and Calgary's so erratic. They're very, very up and down. They lose to Boston the other night. I don't trust them here, but I don't want to lay this price with Nashville tonight. Or is there a letdown after that kind of win? Huge comeback, division rival. You're battling your tail off against St. Louis and Winnipeg, for that matter, for first in the Central. Do you sort of have a flat response following that win tonight as you take on Calgary? That's my one issue. So something to watch for tonight. If you're believing spot plays, maybe you take a stab with Calgary, but still, I won't be doing that in this game. Total 5.5 here, over -115. It's going to be David Rittich potentially back in net again for the Calgary Flames. Mike Smith is day-to-day. It's not a situation where the Calgary Flames are certain that Mike Smith is going to be out long term. It looks like for him it's going to be more of a day-to-day injury situation, so you got to play it by ear. Got to be checking your dailyfaceoff.com, leftwinglock.com, websites like that on a daily basis. Make sure you're staying on top of starting goalies in all these games, especially with Calgary right now. Just don't want to be caught with your pants down with Mike Smith if he comes back and you're not expecting it. So just be aware of that. David Rittich for now. But Mike Smith's injury is not serious. It's only day-to-day. He could be back any game now in the next few days. So something you want to be aware of there. So for me, I'm staying out of this game, but I can understand the thought process that Nashville could, stumble a bit tonight. I mean, you're coming off such a huge win, incredible, improbable win, in fact, coming back from 3-0 down to beat St. Louis the other night. Just worried that maybe you're not fully geared into this hockey game tonight. And Calgary's still good enough on the road, they can make you pay, and they've got enough guys that can score. Matthew Tkachuk has been really good lately for the Calgary Flames. We know about Monahan and Gaudreau certainly, but Matt Tkachuk, I think, has really thrown his name into the hat and being one of the more underrated players on this Calgary team, and he stepped up to the plate just as much as Monahan and Gaudreau, the top two guys, have been. And even their blue line, even this Jankowski, who's a local guy from my area, he's been really, really good. Obviously, Dana's hot spot, by the way, not so hot right now. He's jumped out on us, but hopefully we can get him back. It's a cold spot right now for Dana, but hopefully we'll get him back here on the program throughout time. I just want to circle back on one game, actually, before we go to the next one, because Alex had a thought on this game and an opinion. It was on his card tonight. Carolina, New Jersey. He was having some audio issues back when we talked about that game, but it was one of the games he wanted to talk about. So let's get Alex's thoughts right now before I forget on Carolina, New Jersey. Alex, what are you looking at here in this game?
Well, look at this Carolina side. It's funny how the offense is kind of, we've always been saying that, they're hit and miss offensively. Like, if you look at their deeper advanced metric numbers, the offense has been pretty sound all year, and now they got 14 goals in the last 3 games against a New Jersey team that now, without Corey Schneider, missed a couple other people. Brian Boyle, I know, might be going to the IR as well. A lot of key defensive people out for the Devils, and these are huge games. They're playing tonight. They're going to play again in a couple other nights, and they're right, neck and neck, a point away for that wild card spot in the Metropolitan. So it's a tough battle, but I think there's some value here with Carolina. I think they're the hotter team, and they just got their offense clicking right now against a Devils team that, we talked about how good they were offensively early in the year, but they've seemed to kind of just regress back to their normal kind of slow things down, get 2 or 3 goals, and kind of, run from that point on. They don't really have the defense to kind of hold the team to just 3 goals and pray that they can get out of there with a victory. So I'm looking at Carolina here at a pick and price.
All right, Carolina. So yeah, that aligns. I had Carolina as well in this game, and also a lean to the over. Again, I want to see who the goaltender is because this could be a Schneider game back for New Jersey. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm definitely on board with you there with the Carolina side in that game. All right, Dana's back with us. The hot spot. It turned into a cold spot for a minute. It's a hot spot again. So there we go. Dana back with
ridiculous.
us again. Yeah, it is. I mean,
that's like I told you. I understand. I shut my computer off at 1 o'clock in the morning. Everything's fine. I wake up and the Wi-Fi doesn't work.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah, exactly.
Computers have been the devil today across the country, it seems.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've had people.
Our show's the earliest show. I swear, if we all had like an afternoon or like an evening show, it wouldn't be any BS. It just happens in the morning.
Sure.
Oh,
listen, Alex. You're not, or Andrew. You're not supposed to talk until the West Coast games start. So don't be chiming in with anything.
You know what? You never know. Playoffs come around. We might do a special Ice Guys Stanley Cup playoff, or especially in June, the Stanley Cup Finals betcast type of deal. We're not sure yet, but if that comes about, we'll be able to figure out for sure. Is it the time slot, or is it just our computers suck? Because if it's happening during a betcast, if we do one at night during the Stanley Cup Finals, we'll know exactly what the cause is. We just have shitty equipment,
I can tell you my computer sucks, so that's. I can answer.
Yeah, Alex is already saying, "Oh, I'm going to end the discussion right now. It's my computer. You better believe it." Yeah.
It's very technical, Alex.
Speaking of things that suck, Chicago Blackhawks. They're at home tonight, taking on the Anaheim Ducks. So,
what a segue! What a segue! If I ever saw one.
I know, yeah. Anaheim, minus 115 to minus 120 in this game. The total 5.5 shade of the under. What, people are finally waking up and getting a clue that Chicago's playing? Finally, some Anaheim money coming in, and I completely agree with it. This is a fantastic bounce-back type of situation, I think, tonight for the Anaheim Ducks. They can't be happy losing to Detroit the other night. That's not going to sit well with anyone. But overall, still Anaheim, as we've talked about for many shows in a row right now, Anaheim's about as healthy as they've been all season. Finally get John Gibson back now in between the pipes in recent games as well for the Ducks. So this is a team that's got a chance to at least make some inroads in the standings moving forward, and certainly has got a chance to take advantage of this woe-begotten Chicago team. And give Chicago credit because for one thing, in the Vegas loss, they came out strong. Got an early lead in that game. They obviously didn't like losing. There's pride on that team. There's no question about that when you have Kane and Taves and Seabrook and Keith and veterans like that. There is. They came out with that effort after just really an embarrassment against Arizona the night before, 6-1. But as soon as Vegas tied that game, or got within one actually, and then tied it, you just saw when a team is fragile, has no confidence, it just totally evaporates from the entire hockey team. Jeff Glass didn't have a very good third period. That was his goaltending was made of glass because it broke very easily. The third period the other night against Vegas, 5-2 loss. He didn't play well. There was one shot in particular he should have stopped in that third period. But I was the benefactor. I had Vegas puck line in that game. We'll take it. Vegas with a huge third period to win that game 5-2 against the Chicago Blackhawks. What is that now? 8 straight losses for the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah, show it loud and proud, Dana. Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, everybody's waiting for the bubble to burst, like with the Bitcoin. It's a bubble. It's going to burst. Not this bubble. Vegas Golden Knights have been absolutely spectacular, and they got the job done again the other night. And Chicago, again, remains the same issue. When's the last time this team scored more than 2 goals in a game? 5 straight with 2 goals or less for Chicago. Again, if you're not getting a goal right now from mainly Kane and DeBrincat. It's been an issue for this team offensively. Where's Brandon Saad been? I don't know. I can't find that guy with a telescope on the ice half the time. So Chicago's got issues. And then, of course, Corey Crawford being out is really where the problem started, because Anton Forsberg and Jeff Glass, either one of those guys, it doesn't even matter who's in net tonight. None of those guys are giving you adequate enough goaltending right now. So I like this bounce back spot for Anaheim. 2 straight losses can't sit well with them to San Jose and Detroit. They had been playing pretty well. They were 5-3 in 8 games before these last 2 losses. Lost to San Jose in a shootout at home. Started their road trip on the wrong foot, 2-1 loss, although Jimmy Howard was really good in that game. Anaheim outshot Detroit 33-16, and Jimmy Howard was very good. He just didn't bury those chances. Chances are against Forsberg or Glass tonight, Anaheim is going to be able to finish a lot of their chances. And like I said, they're fully healthy now, pretty much. Getzlaf's there, Perry's there, Andre Kasha was injured, he's there, Cam Fowler's healthy on the blue line. Everybody's healthy, raring to go for this Anaheim team. They're off 2 straight losses. This is their chance to get going here and get back in the win column. So absolutely, at this price, yeah, give me Anaheim here. -110 at the Greek. -110 is still out there at the Greek. That's what I'll be looking at here. Anaheim to keep the woes going for Chicago. And Alex B. Smith, this is his chance. Floor's his to absolutely rant and rave about this Chicago Blackhawks team, which just an absolute shit show right now, an absolute dumpster fire. Alex, what can you say about Chicago? Not a lot of good times right now in the madhouse on Madison, is it?
Well, one beautiful point of note is that pitchers and catchers reported yesterday. So most of the city's not even caring about the Hawks anymore at this point. It's all about the White Sox and that team up north. And now at this point, it's just, the Hawks kind of just going through the motions. Alex DeBrincat's been great. He's gotten 7 goals and 2 assists in his last 2 games. I don't think he's going to have enough. He's going to have a hell of a run to win the Calder, but he's the lone bright spot in the team right now. Jeff Glass was put on waivers, which starts to make me believe I think Forsberg is going to start tonight, and that means that Corey Crawford might be ready to return. I'm of the group that says that Crawford shouldn't return this year, and they should just kind of rest him, figure out whatever's going wrong, and get him ready for next season. But obviously, he wants to play. The team needs him to play if they want to get any kind of victories going right now. But I'm on Anaheim in this spot. I played it yesterday. I actually got the worst of the number. I got it at -$1.15. But like I said, Anaheim, played a really tough game, that 2-1 overtime loss against Detroit. They're completely healthy, and not to forget, this is a bit of a revenge spot. They got blown out at 7 and in Chicago, 7-3, just a couple of days after Thanksgiving. I know it's going back away, but if you look at that, Anaheim was dealing with a ton of injuries. The Hawks were a much better team at that point. They had Crawford, they had a lot of guys healthy. They were scoring at will. Now things are completely different. Anaheim obviously has a much better chance of reaching the playoffs than the Hawks do. So I think it's a big game for the Ducks here on the road. I'd like them. You said at a pick 'em price, so I think Anaheim definitely gets the job done on the road tonight.
All right, Anaheim as well for Alex Peace. But that's what's great about Alex. There's no homerism in that guy. He will bet against any team he likes if it makes sense, and he's going to do that here with Anaheim. And let's not forget, before that 7-3 loss, and that was, on November 27th, Anaheim had actually won 2 straight trips to Chicago. They, for the most part, the last few years, they've played pretty good here at the United Center in Chicago. So they've definitely shown the propensity in the past to be able to win here in Chicago, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them be able to win this game here tonight against this floundering Blackhawks team. And yes, Kyle Honeysett in the chat, thank you for correcting me. They haven't lost 8 in a row. They've lost 7 in a row, not 8 going into tonight, but I think it will be 8 after tonight. And this game is done. So Alex and I both on Anaheim here in this game, and also Andrew on Anaheim, Chicago as well tonight. Andrew, are you thinking the same thing as we are, or what?
Yeah, I have to agree. It's going to be 8 in a row. I think that it's an absolute disgrace, really, what we've seen. And I think I really am glad you used the word prideful, Ian, because in my opinion, really at this point, it's what it's really all about. I mean, for me, it makes me the most mad seeing teams lose. This team lose 7 in a row, strictly just based off the talent level that they have. I mean, remember years ago, you could see certain teams that you can tell they're rebuilding. They're not very good at all. You can tell they're just weaker. But in my opinion, it's the worst because they're just underachieving so much. And I know that this league is really caught up for them. They have a little bit of older players. They're in the middle of kind of a shaky season right now. But I just think it's just so embarrassing. It's just so, they got to bring out the pride. Something has to click for these guys. And I think of all teams, guys, I think that this is one of those teams where it's going to kick. And I think that they're going to kind of pull themselves together a little bit and at least start to have closer games and in my opinion, that also leads to an under. So for me, I'm on the Ducks, and I'm leaning towards the under as well in this game. I think that when you're a team that's struggling, I mean, Anaheim 2-5 in their last 7, and Chicago, as we know, 0-7 in their last 7. So I mean, you see these two teams; they're both struggling, and they're kind of getting the wrong end of the straw. Both in a lot of the previous couple of games, losing by 1 goal. And I think a lot of times it's going to take us to an under game, guys. I think that these two teams right now, they haven't really been lighting up the scoreboard by any means at all. And I think that really the biggest thing is defense for both teams, just shutting down the opposing all-stars, really. And I think that one other big point about the Chicago Blackhawks team that nobody really seems to be kind of blowing up. People seem to be more concerned about how the top-notch and all-star players aren't really performing. But in my eyes, this really has to show, guys, how much this Blackhawks team missed Corey Crawford. I mean, I know that when he was playing, he wasn't having the biggest stellar year, but I think that really over the past couple of years, in general, really, that this Blackhawks team has been known for being so good and so talented, but no one's really given that huge amount of credit to Corey Crawford. I know he's gotten some, but I think it really shows because he does make those plays. I mean, a lot of times, if you watch this Blackhawks team, they hang their defensemen out to dry quite a bit. I mean, if you notice, these forwards aren't back on defense too much. I mean, they're getting ready to score goals. They're up ice already. So unless you've got guys like Duncan Keith springing you an up ice pass for 60 feet, they're not really back there on defense. So I think it's huge that these goaltenders can at least make a couple key saves early in the game, establish their confidence, get themselves going a little bit, prove to their team that they're behind them and they're ready to make a couple key saves because whether anyone wants to believe this or not, a team is a lot more motivated when they have a good goalie behind them. They feel more safe, they feel more secure, and that's kind of what I always say to you guys about the Canadiens with Price. I mean, everyone always says that they're nothing without Price, and they're still a pile of garbage. But at least they know they have Price back there to save them from certain things like that. So for me, the stats just kind of speak for themselves. The total has gone under in 12 of Chicago's last 15 games at home. 12 of their last 17 games when playing at home against Anaheim. And just looking at the last couple of games here for Chicago, I mean, 5-2 loss to the Knights, 6-1 loss to Arizona, 3-0 loss to Minnesota, 4-2 loss to Dallas. I mean, the list goes on, guys. This team is not really pulling themselves together whatsoever. And I think that it's going to click at some point. But if it does click, I think it's going to be an under type style game. This will be more of a 3-2, 3-1 game here for the Anaheim Ducks, guys. So I'm on the Ducks, and I'm also giving out the under in this game as well.
Yeah, Anaheim couldn't finish the other night against Detroit. Had some decent chances. 33 shots, not all of them were high quality, but they did have some good looks, and Howard was there to make the save. But I think they're going to try to get more traffic, shoot from anywhere type mentality. I think they got to use that mentality because we know Chicago's got some goaltending concerns right now, and I think you're going to see that kind of mindset from Anaheim. We got to shoot the puck a little bit more, look for more traffic in front of the net. And we saw Jeff Glass actually that Vegas went to that kind of mindset in the third period the other night. More traffic in front of the net, get some traffic through, and get the puck through to Jeff Glass, and it worked out well for them. So I think Anaheim will have that aggressive mindset tonight. Montreal, Arizona, 17-18. No line here yet. I'm interested in Arizona. I'll tell you that right now. There's teams playing very good hockey at the moment. For the first time, it seems, all season long. They've had an extended little run now where they've played good. You go into San Jose and knock off the Sharks on a back-to-back, no less. They crushed Chicago Monday night. You go on the road in a back-to-back spot to the Shark Tank against San Jose, who's, of course, fighting for playoff positioning, and you beat them. Well, you beat him with Scott Wedgwood in net. Antti Raanta was rested that night. So give Arizona credit. They're starting to put some things together. You got Montreal going from the high altitude and thin air of Denver last night in a 2-0 shutout loss. You talk about a team that can't put a puck in the ocean half the time. Here we go again with Montreal, just steaming a piece of manure right now, unfortunately, this team. But what can you do? Arizona, I'm looking for a reason to bet them here. We'll see what the price comes out, but I can't confirm it yet. I got to get a price first, but certainly leaning in that direction. If I'm betting this game from a side standpoint, it's Arizona or pass. Andrew, what do you think here about your Habs tonight as they head to the desert?
Yeah, the Habs roll into the desert, and to be quite honest, I mean, this Arizona team's actually looking like a pretty solid hockey team right now. They're kind of starting to really impress me and show that they can do something. I think it might be too early, guys, for me to say they're playing spoiler, but I feel like as the season progresses, that's kind of what they're going to be doing at the end of the season and moving forward. So if you're the head coach for Arizona, you're the GM, you're kind of impressed right now. You like what you're seeing. Heading into this season, you weren't really going for a race for the cup, but you wanted to see potential and you want to see stuff building, and that's really what we're seeing right now with this Arizona team. And with Montreal, I'm just kind of waiting on the trade deadline to really see what Bergevin can do and see who he trades away and see if he can just kind of throw the tank away and just rebuild and restart this process, because I feel like every trade that he makes isn't really a big trade, and we almost just lose out on everything. I mean, how many games has Montreal really played Shea Weber this year? Meanwhile, PK Subban's over there scoring goals and then making huge defensive plays in Nashville. So I won't really get into that, though. I know we don't really have time for that, but I just want to take a look at the past couple of games here for Arizona, guys, because I think they've really proved that they can win these huge margin games. They can also win close games, which is really solid for me. Right back on February 8th against Minnesota, 4-3 win. They're plus 205 underdogs. And just recently, February 13th against the Sharks, 2-1 win over the Sharks, plus 193 underdogs. So what I'm trying to make, guys, is that this team is not just showing us that they're going to score, fluky like 5 or 6 goals and all of a sudden get a win. They're showing they can actually play some hockey here, and they belong in this league. They belong playing against these top teams, and every now and then they can make these big plays. So for me, my play, I understand we don't have any sides out right now or any lines, but my play in this game is going to be the over. And there's a lot of stats and there's a lot of things talking about the Habs right now. They're 5-2 in their last 7 after scoring 2 goals or less in the previous game. So, which pretty much just tells me that the Habs try their best not to suck after they already sucked the previous game, and heck, they've been sucking already the entire season. So pretty much, really, I just think it's a good bounce back spot for them. They're going to put some pucks in the back of the net. But realistically, Arizona's been doing that same thing, and I don't think they're going to have any trouble really walking all over this Montreal Canadiens defense either. So I think that's really the biggest issue for this Habs team, is that last year they didn't really have any offense at all. They've been kind of trying to find that, first line center, even second line center. And then all of a sudden they go out and trade their defensemen away, and we're struggling there. And now all of a sudden there's no production on offense either. But I don't know. I feel like this is a good bounce back spot for them right now. Total's gone over in 12 Montreal's last 14 games when playing on the road against Arizona. I know it's a big, kind of a big scale to look at, but these two teams should clash right now. I think it should be a messy, messy hockey game. Not the prettiest of goals, guys, but I think there should be some goals in this one. So my official play here is the over at 5.5.
All right, over 5.5, Arizona, Montreal. We are really up against it. So, Alex, quickly, Montreal, Zona, what do you got?
All right. Yeah, looking with Arizona here, like I said, they're playing the best hockey that they played since mid-November when they won 3 in a row. This will be the second time they get 3 games going in a row. So Arizona's the only side I'll be looking at here. Montreal lost 9 of the last 10 on the road. I'd like to think that Arizona would try and win as many games as possible going into the wrap up this end of the season, try and boost themselves up for whatever they try to do in the future. I don't really know where this team is going to be going up from, but at least try, like I said, playing with some pride and some passion, and try to keep this win streak going as far as they can.
All right, Arizona for Alex. Edmonton, Vegas, 1920. Vegas minus 230. Minus 200 to minus 205, I should say, in that range total. 6.5 shaded to the over, minus 115. Vegas comes back, beats Chicago. Great quote, too, from Riley Smith saying, quote, "There's not a lot of panic in this room, that's for sure. When we're down by a goal in the third period, we know we can battle it out." That's why I'm kicking myself. I haven't bet Vegas in game as much as when they're down in games. I haven't done that enough. I'm going to be looking to capitalize on situations like that, because they have confidence they can come back. Edmonton's a sieve right now. They're awful defensively. How do you give up 7 goals to Florida the other night? Horrendous. Over 6.5. I'm actually on the over. I don't like betting overs at 6.5, but I think Vegas can do a tap dance with their explosiveness against this Edmonton defense tonight. So I like over 6.5 there, Edmonton, Vegas tonight in that game. Vancouver, San Jose, 21-22. We got no line here on this game yet. Vancouver back-to-back situation for them. So I don't trust them here in this spot. San Jose looking to bounce back from beating Arizona. From a spot perspective, I think it's a good one for San Jose. I think they do bounce back, get the win. They didn't play last night. Vancouver did, but we'll see where that price is. Best bets to wrap up the show. Dana, what's yours?
Real quick, I like the Islanders to beat the Rangers tonight, getting a better number than you did when we started the show. So Islanders minus $1.30 over the Rangers.
All right, Islanders for Dana. Andrew, best bet.
Yeah, I'm actually going to just roll with that last play I talked about, guys, with the over in the Montreal-Arizona game. I just think that Montreal Good off a loss, bounce back spot here for them. Arizona isn't really the toughest team to score against, but they've been putting the puck in the back of the net, and I think that it'll continue for them against this really crappy Montreal team, to be honest with you. So over 5.5 in the Arizona versus Montreal game.
All right, over Arizona, Montreal for Andrew. Alex, best bet.
Going with Carolina, minus $1.10 against New Jersey. They've won 6 of their last 9 straight up. They've scored 14 goals in the last 3 games. And it doesn't really matter who the Neville's put in net right now. They're just kind of struggling on the back end. So the Hurricanes at a pick 'em price.
All right, Carolina for Alex. For me, it's Buffalo, Ottawa, over 5.5 plus 110. I think you get 2 teams that are not great defensively, 2 teams that are in good offensive form, 2 teams going nowhere. Just have a fun, roll it out, have some fun, score some goals. Over 5.5 Buffalo, Ottawa. That's my best bet. That'll wrap up the show. We'll see you again on Saturday for another edition of the Ice Guys. For Andrew, Alex, and Dana, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy the Thursday night card. We'll see you again on Saturday.